This is Root Scripture. Each week, we take one passage, sometimes just a single verse, and we go back to where it began. Back to the original Hebrew, the original Greek, before translation, before tradition, before anything got lost along the way. Not to make it complicated, to make it clear, to find what was always there, quietly waiting underneath the words you've read 100 times. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like and subscribe, and feel free to take notes so you don't miss a thing. Today, we're starting at the very beginning. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the original Hebrew, there are two words in this verse that almost every English Bible leaves out. Translators removed them, and what those two words spell out in the oldest alphabet on earth is something that does not fully make sense until you reach the final pages of the book of Revelation. By the end of this video, you are going to read Genesis 1:1 differently than you have ever read it in your entire life. And I think once you see what I am about to show you, you will not be able to unsee it. Let's go back to the beginning, the actual beginning. Genesis 1:1. You've read it. You've heard it quoted. You probably memorized it as a kid without even trying. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. 7 words in English. Clean, simple. The most famous opening line in the history of human writing. But here's the thing almost nobody tells you. The Bible wasn't written in English. Genesis was written in Hebrew. And when you go back to the original Hebrew text of this verse, something happens that every English translation has quietly smoothed over. Here's what Genesis 1:1 actually looks like in Hebrew. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Let's break that down word by word. Bereshit, in the beginning. Bara, he created. Elohim, God. And then this word, et, hashmayim, the heavens. Then this word again, ve'et, haaretz, the earth. Did you catch it? 2 words just slipped past you. Et and ve'et. Every major English translation removes them. Not because someone made a mistake. Translators looked at these 2 words for centuries and concluded they were just grammatical markers. Untranslatable. Nothing important. So they left them out. But Jewish scholars have argued for centuries that leaving them out means missing something extraordinary. I want to show you what they found. Here's the first thing you need to know. The word et is spelled with exactly 2 Hebrew letters. Aleph, the very first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and Tav, the very last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. First letter, last letter. Et is literally built out of the Hebrew equivalent of A to Z. Now watch what happens when you put that back into the verse. God created it the heavens and ve'et the earth. First to last, the heavens. First to last, the earth. This is not a grammatical footnote. This is a declaration. The text is not just telling you that God made the heavens and the earth. It's telling you that He made everything, from the first thing that ever existed to the last thing that will ever exist. Every single reality that has ever happened or will ever happen, the entire span of existence from beginning to end, is contained inside 2 letters that most people reading the English Bible have never even known were there. God didn't just create things. He created the whole span, Aleph to Tav, first to last, and pressed that span into the grammar of the very first sentence of the Bible. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Stay with me. 1100 pages later, at the very end of the entire Bible, in the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 13, Jesus says this, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Alpha, the first letter of the Greek alphabet. Omega, the last letter of the Greek alphabet. Do you see what just happened? Genesis 1:1 is written in Hebrew. It opens with Aleph to Tav, first letter to last letter, hidden inside two words, most translations erased. Revelation 22:13 is written in Greek. It closes with Alpha to Omega, first letter to last letter, spoken directly out of the mouth of Christ. Two different languages, two different testaments, written by different authors, thousands of years apart, and they are saying the exact same thing, using the exact same literary device, the first and last letter of the alphabet, to declare the exact same truth. This is not a coincidence, and I don't think a single serious scholar would tell you it is. The signature, pressed into the first sentence of the Bible, in two letters most readers never knew existed, is the same signature spoken out loud at the very end of the story. Genesis 1:1 does not just tell you that God created everything, it tells you He signed it. He put His name, Aleph to Tav, first to last, into the very first sentence anyone has ever read in Scripture. Before anything was formed, before anything had a name, before light, before water, before a single living thing existed, God had already signed His name across the totality of everything that would ever be. And here's why that should stop you in your tracks for a second. That same God, the one who signed Aleph to Tav into the opening words of human history, is the same one who shows up 1100 pages later and says, I am the first and the last. Not a different God, not a different signature. The same one, hidden in the beginning, spoken plainly at the end. There is one piercing takeaway I want to leave sitting with you before we move on. The God who signed His name into the first sentence of the first book, in two letters, most translators left out, is the same God asking to be the first thing in your life. Reality starts with Him, which means every life built without Him at the root is not really a foundation at all. It's just something that hasn't collapsed yet. Now, I want to take this somewhere personal for a minute, because this isn't just an interesting Hebrew word study. This actually changes something. Genesis 1:1 doesn't open with an argument for God's existence. It doesn't try to convince you of anything. It just starts with God already there, already first, before anything else. And here's the question. That verse is quietly asking you whether you've ever thought about it this way or not. What is actually first in your life? Not what you'd say in church. Not the answer that sounds right. The real one. The thing your life is actually built around. The thing you reach for first when everything falls apart. The thing that, if it were taken away, would make you feel like the floor dropped out from under you. Modern life has quietly trained almost everyone to believe the self is supposed to be the starting point. You define your own meaning. You build your own identity. You are the center, and everything else organizes around you. Genesis 1:1 says that was never the design. And honestly, most of the anxiety people carry isn't random. It's the feeling of a foundation giving way underneath everything they've stacked on top of it. Because if the thing holding your life together was never built to hold the weight you're asking it to hold, it is always going to feel like it's about to give out. Because it is. Genesis 1:1 points to the only foundation that existed before anything else did. Before your career, before your relationships, before your worst day and your best day, before you were even born, God was already there. And that's not just the first verse of a book. That's the invitation underneath everything I'm about to walk you through in this channel. going back to what Scripture actually says in its original language and discovering what it means for the actual life you're living right now.